We need to talk about Ron DeSantis, unfortunately. What is he thinking, trying to take on the national stage with policies that barely hold water in Florida? You see, Ron DeSantis is exposed and has been exposed as a far-right operative, an operative for neo-Nazis, an operative for racists, an operative for white supremacists. He's somebody who allows these people to infiltrate Florida and allows them to carry their firearms without a permit around the state. He's also vehemently anti-abortion, anti-gay, anti-trans, and, as you know, anti-Walt Disney. And because of these extremist positions that Ron DeSantis takes, he is obviously getting a significant amount of support from a small group in Florida. Now, he won re-election as governor in November with, quite a good majority. But you have to understand how he has changed since last November, and the powers that be, those who are pulling his strings, what it is that they really want to do to the United States. And that is to undo any of the progressive leanings that the country might have as a whole. But will his plan work? Because Florida is not the United States of America, in the same way that California is not the United States of America. These states operate independently. He refers to Florida as the free state of Florida, except it's anything but free, because when they are banning books, when they are banning certain types of education and providing a revisionist history, certainly when it comes to African American studies, you have to ask yourself, what is free about Florida, apart from maybe the freedom to be racist, the freedom to carry your guns openly without a permit, the freedom to be misogynistic and racist towards other people? And really, that is what encapsulates the freedom that people like Ron DeSantis talk about. They talk about a time before wokeness. He refers to Florida as the anti-woke state, or where wokeness comes to die. Well, what he seems to have failed to realize is that the rest of the country is not Florida, and the rest of the world has woken up. And in the process of waking up, we encourage all people to be as inclusive as possible. And as long as others are not meddling in your business, then why should you meddle in theirs? And this is where the separation of church and state has fallen apart in recent years, because much of what Ron DeSantis has to say, he claims, is decided by God, decided by the Bible, and that these are the teachings that a good Christian should follow. Well, firstly, much of what he claims is not in the Bible, and secondly, trying to impose your religious beliefs on non-religious people or people with other religious denominations is against the law in the United States. And yet, for some reason, people like Ron DeSantis overlook this fact. So how do you think Ron will do on the national stage? How do you think his stance on abortion or on race or on trans or LGBTQ plus issues might hold up on the national platform? His launch was a damp squib. He put out a video that showed him walking up onto the stage and opening the curtain as if he was about to make a huge campaign speech to a vast audience. Well, there was no vast audience in his video. It then just cut to a very solitary shot of him standing quite feebly and using this same far-right rhetoric to try and, in code, to try and dog whistle to the kind of people that might be interested in his extremist policies. He didn't actually say very much, plenty of words, but actually very few words that made sense or that hit. It was very loosely written in a way that he can't be held down on any particular topic or policy. And so Ron DeSantis against Donald Trump is going to be an interesting match, isn't it? Because Trump, as we know, is facing all sorts of investigations himself, and DeSantis is relying on Trump's indictments and arraignments and potential incarceration to give him the opportunity to kind of step up and be the leading candidate, because as it stands, he is many points behind Donald Trump. And Trump knows that. And so Trump will, now that he's announced, make the extra effort to squish Ron DeSantis under his 1980s dress shoe. So how will the presidential race shape up in November 2024? Well, Joe Biden, as it stands, provided, of course, the country does not default after Republicans weaponize the debt ceiling and try and make Joe Biden look bad by crashing the US and world economy. I think people realize now that that's what they're trying to do. It's not like they can hide that. They've been very clear about it. And so if the country does default, it's clearly not Joe Biden's fault. But Joe Biden still, as it stands, even in his mature years, is and probably will be the outright winner in the 2024 presidential election, simply because the candidates for the Republican nomination are so bad. They are so extremist. They are so far-right, neo-Nazi supporting, aggressive, anti-American and unpatriotic in their presentation, that even if they might not feel it inside, they are appealing to the wrong crowd. They are playing to the wrong gallery, because the US is not stacked in that direction. The US as a whole is pro-choice and is a country full of thoughtful, caring, generous people, not racist, not bigoted, not misogynistic. And if Trump and DeSantis continue to run on that kind of ticket, then they don't stand a chance behind Joe Biden, the Democratic nominee. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me every day on the 5-Minute News podcast and on Sundays on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.